Der Finalgegner von Mensur Suljovic ist die Nummer 1 der Welt. 12 Legs hat er gerade mal abgegeben in den Partien gegen John Henderson, Mervyn King, Peter Hudson und Michael Smith. Sein 66. Pro-Tour-Finale, sein 22. European Tour-Finale. Auch ihn begrüßen wir ein letztes Mal, MVG, Mighty Mike, Michael van Gerwen! Best of 11 Legs heißt auch im Finale die Distanz. Wer 6 Legs gewinnt, ist der Champion des European Darts Matchplay 2017. Und der Caller dieses Finals ist The Voice, Russ Bray.
So we're just about all set for the second time on the European Tour. Mensur Suljovic and Michael van Gerwen meet in the final. This time it's at the Happy Bet European Darts Match Play. The only previous occasion was at the European Darts Trophy last year when Michael van Gerwen came out on top. He is the firm favourite to win this one as well and make it 16 European Tour titles. And on the evidence of what we've seen so far this weekend, in terms of the number of legs he's lost, the scoring, the checkouts and everything else, Van Gerwen shading the stats at the expense of the Austrian. But Mensur, you never know what you're going to get sometimes, and maybe, just maybe, he has it within him to produce something extra special, and he'll have to.
First leg, Michael to throw first. Game on!
If he's to come good. Paul Nicholson alongside me with the privilege of watching this final.
Absolute privilege it is, indeed, Rob.
93.
And Michael van Gerwen, yes, he shaded the stats. He's better in the average column, the first 9 column. But then you put in the it factor of Suljovic doing what he does, and he can upset people.
170.
Laying
like
down
that.
an intention right from the off.
Well, the one identical stat, and it's a stat that Suljovic doesn't actually lead on Van Gerwen because they're absolutely dead level, is the checkout percentages, both 24 from 52. So he'll need to be at his finishing best today if the opportunities come their way for Mensur Suljovic, if he's to stand any chance. Paul Nicholson just getting a little excited there to my right hand side as he just maybe started to begin to think about the prospects of another set of perfect darts.
Well, we've been so close, haven't we? I mean, it just makes you wonder, will it ever happen again? And I, for one, am very optimistic that if it doesn't happen in this game, we will see it in Vienna in a couple of weeks' time.
You say that every tournament.
I know, because I'm optimistic.
Now then, Mensur. Okay, well, he's still got a very real prospect of breaking the Van Gerwen throw in the very first leg.
I like the way you put it earlier in the tournament, Rob, about a clear and present danger.
Well, he's
and
there.
that's exactly what Suljovic is to Van Gerwen, and him trying to get a 16th European Tour title, because Suljovic has only thrown 9 darts and he's got 90 left. That is brilliant.
Well, Van Gerwen's lost 12 legs this weekend over the course of his progression here. He might lose another one now. Double 5. Dying swan for Mensur.
He was expecting that to dip a bit and it just didn't. 136 left.
Working
Another
hard.
one of those.
Yeah, working hard here, Van Gerwen, for this opening leg, but he might well take it on double 8s. And he's in business, isn't he? Mensur Suljovic, a brutal reminder of the absolute necessity to take out the opportunities when they come their way, especially on the Van Gerwen throw.
Well, the complexity of this finish is such that it's as hard as anything, like 160, 158, 156. It's 2 treble 20s and a double. And the thing about double A is it's nowhere near treble 20, so it's a bit of an adjustment. Great shot.
Well, he's got plenty of backing, as you can hear. The sole surviving German-speaking player on stage against the Dutchman.
Well, I've called the German people today the 4th dart.
Yep.
It can be in your corner. It's been in the corner of Peter Hudson, Stephen Bunting, Peter Wright, anybody who has a German passport. But at the moment, it's the guy in red who has the 4th dart. Will they help him get over the line? First and foremost, he's got to get off the mark in the leg column.
Yeah, missed start at double 5 in the opener. Van Gerwen pounced 136 checkout. But the averages for Van Gerwen over the course of the weekend, the average overall 104.02, and Mensur's is down at 94. So there's 10 points on the averages that he has to make up somehow, because Van Gerwen's more than capable of matching that 104, maintaining it in this final, and even embellishing it as well.
I tell you, I don't know how it's coming across on the coverage wherever you're watching, but it feels almost gladiatorial in here. The shouts of Mensur. Next thing you know, he'll be putting his thumb up, just like they did in Roman times.
Yeah, gladiatorial combat all the way through this weekend. We have seen some epic encounters. I'd have to rank this as one of the best tournaments in recent times on the European Tour.
I've really enjoyed it.
Well, Suljovic, again, one dart in hand here at double 9, and this time he makes it pay. And there we see the arrows glare towards the corner. It's one apiece, but Suljovic will feel perhaps it should be 2-0. But he won't want to be too greedy when Michael Van Gerwen is alongside him on the stage.
Now, the game they had back in Mulheim September last year was pretty meaty, but the game the week before that, when Mensur took his maiden PDC championship, that was just drama-filled with Kim Huybrecht.
Yeah, that's when he was finally a success on the European Tour. When he reached his first Euro Tour final in Riesa that September, went on to win it, of course. He's since played in 3 more ranking finals, all against Michael Van Gerwen. And that includes that 11-1 defeat in the European Championship final. He led Van Gerwen in 5-4 in the final in Mulheim last September, but Van Gerwen then cruised to a 6-0 win when they met in the Players' Championship. I think it was 9 days later or something. Van Gerwen was up against it in that final in Mulheim. Mensur had his chances, missed the opportunities, and Van Gerwen, as we've seen him do so many times, just showed him the way.
Well, if you think Mensur Suljovic is popular here, what's it going to be like in a fortnight? In Vienna.
In Vienna, his hometown, his manor, his patch. Well, this leg looks beyond Suljovic here.
100. Michael, you require 94.
But there have been times today where Van Gerwen hasn't been totally convincing on the doubles. I refer in particular to the match with Peter Hudson
86.
in the quarterfinals.
Well, he used the word with Elmar schlafen, which is German for basically going to sleep. And he knows he can't afford to do that against the Austrian ace.
100. Michael, you require.
Well, finally, Suljovic is down to a finish. This is on the Van Gerwen throw, so no particular damage done here for Mensur. 2-1.
Michael Van Gerwen.
Well, the nod from Van Gerwen there, as if to say that's what should happen when you are throwing first. Just echoes your point there, Rob. And many professional dart players out there, when you are throwing first, you do expect to win your throw.
Well, these two players had their highlights in Germany last weekend as well. Michael Van Gerwen helping the Netherlands to a 3rd World Cup success. One of my highlights, though, was Suljovic's 4-0 defeat of Adrian Lewis in Austria's 2-1 defeat by England in the quarterfinals. In particular, that 170 checkout. It was a brilliant moment.
Yeah, Adrian Lewis seems to be getting the thick end of a few Haydens at the moment. And quite frankly, Adrian's playing good darts, but everybody's turning up against him. And that's a mark of respect, really, because they know how good he is.
Yeah. Well, Mensur's guaranteed £10,000 here for making the final of this Happy Bet European Darts Matchplay 2017. That would put him onto £34,000 on the European Tour Order of Merit. It would see him leap above Jelle Klassen. But with Michael Smith having made the semi-finals, it wouldn't be enough to leapfrog him. Peter Wright, whatever happens, will still be at the top of the European tree. All, of course, comes to fruit when it comes to the European Championship at the end of the year.
And Michael van Gerwen, he wants to be number one of everything. Yeah. So if he wins today, he gets close to Peter Wright.
Well, he does, because he was 36 behind. £36,000 behind. Wright's going out relatively early compared to what he's been doing this year. Van Gerwen looking to take home the big 25 bags of sand.
100.
Is that where the word grand comes from?
164.
Bag of sand, grand?
We said that's a bit of a Yorkshire phrase, I think. But anyway, it's on.
139.
Well, all of a sudden, Suljovic has got to hit this 141. Can't see Michael van Gerwen missing that 25, can you? 60. Very conventional.
Oh.
Where's he going to go? Treble 15, I think.
He's looking that side of the board, isn't he?
Double 18.
123.
Well, he deserved something for that.
Another 141 missed.
Well, 25 away. Double 8 then for Van Gerwen. Double 4. Mensur might get a chance, but do you know what? He won't.
It was a good dart, that, that double 4, because he didn't throw the double 8 one very well. It just sort of floated into the board. He throws them very hard, MVG. And you just tell that it dipped at the very end.
Yeah.
The double 4, however, it was very good.
Well, he's 3-1 down here, but he could be 3-1 up because he had a missed start at double 5 in the opener, a missed start at double 18 there. And, we talk about it time and time again. The fine margins are really accentuated in this best of 11 format, especially when you're up against someone like Michael van Gerwen, and especially when he finds himself in a 3-1 lead.
One thing we must talk about as well is the amount of tournaments, the amount of Pro Tour titles that Michael van Gerwen currently has, and I always thought that nobody would get anywhere near Phil Taylor's mark of Pro Tour titles. Well,
100.
I'm like the guy on the news the other day when he ate his book. I'm going to eat my words, because I think Michael van Gerwen is going to break that record, and it won't take him much longer.
There we see very similar averages. Van Gerwen just enhancing his there with another ton 80. Came into this final with 15 ton 80s to his name. We've had over 200 this weekend.
102.
We have had an abundance of them. Might have to check the record books as well at the end of play in this one.
Pretty close. I think the record might have been broken earlier this year. But Michael van Gerwen doesn't really care about those records right now. All he cares about is hitting this 32 and not giving Suljovic a poke at that 96. Double 8. Yeah, no problem. He knows he's got it in the bag if he keeps going like this. He's not giving Suljovic shots at doubles.
Yeah. Well, people have made comments about Michael van Gerwen on the European Tour stage this year. I think mainly because he won the first 5 in 2015. He won the first 3 last year. And he's only won 1 out of the first 5 here. Now, let's just put some perspective on this, because he missed Gibraltar because he wanted to get himself ready for the Premier League. But this is his 4th final on the European Tour this year. And this is the 6th event. So he's appeared in 4 out of 6 finals. He's won 1. OK, Peter Wright's had his glory as well. But, this is... This is not a concern for Michael van Gerwen.
Not at all. He's like Teflon. He just lets it bounce off him. And to a lot of players, getting beat 6-0 in the final would affect them greatly. Well, he's been able to shrug it off and win titles since then, and he's on the verge of winning another one here if he keeps going.
He's by far and away the leader on the European Tour roll of honour in terms of titles won.
145.
keeping Michael Smith at bay as well by
121.
eliminating him in the semi-finals. Mensur, you feel this has to go.
71 left.
Has that found its way in? Yes, it has.
16.
Just. And again, another missed dart at a double for Mensur Suljovic. That is turning out to be the story of his night, isn't it, here?
60. Would have left tops. If he'd hit the bullseye, he would have gone 25 bull.
46.
But Suljovic has another shot at the double.
16.
Doesn't waste any time coming to the hockey either. Double 8. That's about as far away as he's been from a double all weekend.
That's not much better either.
Game shot.
Oh, he needed that. Well, okay, it's only a holder throw, but had he found himself 5-1 down, as he could so easily have done, that could have been good night, God bless.
Notice something there as well. Great start this leg from MVG, but it was a smile from the usually intense Suljovic. He brought character a little bit there.
100.
And when you have two, in his own thinking, shocker darts at double 8 and managed to pull it out with the anchor dart,
134.
you can afford yourself a smile now and again, because hitting doubles should be fun, and it is. What a reply from Van Gerwen though. 180, 134. They're going to put some distance between him and Suljovic again, using the 19s. Stay there.
133.
Trying to leave double 8 after 9 darts. Well, 54 it'll have to be.
I can require 54.
14 and tops for a 5-2 lead.
Game show on the
Routine
seventh leg.
is the word for that. 5-2.
You look at the crowd, Rob, and they're just shell-shocked.
Yeah, they just know that there's,
98.
well, primarily opportunities are running out here for Mensur Suljovic, and it's a very familiar story, maybe not this year, but certainly over the last 3 years on the European circuit. Michael Van Gerwen is looking very, very likely. He's certainly in no great danger here of squandering this.
Well, kids, back home, you want to win a European Tour title, you're going to have to do things like that. And you're going to have to win every leg under 5 visits. Some of them under 4.
57.
This is a very good standard.
Well, Peter Hudson may well end this tournament as the man who, or the only man who took 4 legs off Michael Van Gerwen this weekend. Henderson managed 2, Mervyn King managed 3, Michael Smith managed 3. So another feather in the cap for Peter Hudson if Suljovic fails to emulate that.
Not sure how Peter feels about wearing feathers and caps, but he'll definitely take it. Another one of those will bring the crowd to its feet. If the bullseye goes in, Mensur! Smile! We love that, and so does everybody else.
Well, it's just what the match needed. It's what the occasion needed as well, because there was this huge lull around the arena here in Hamburg. People resigned to the fact that Van Gerwen was looking very, very likely indeed. But Mensur Suljovic, not for the first time this weekend, with a very, very big checkout and a very good time as well. 1-6-1 checkout against Gurney for a break of throw for a 5-3 lead. He had a couple of big ones against Van Dijvenbode as well.
96.
You remember how close he was to being eliminated by DVD.
Yeah. Well, up against MVG, he's managed to find a 1-6-4 checkout, 2 treble 19s and the bullseye, and maybe it's just given him a shot in the arm here because he's in the money once again.
139.
Now, that was on his throw. He needs to find a break here. And he's going the right way about it because Van Gerwen has had a visit there without a treble. You know, this is not beyond the realms of possibility. Van Gerwen will know, as we told you earlier, Suljovic is one of the biggest street fighters on the European Tour circuit. He is so resilient. He has got so much defensive mechanism inside him.
Look at that last dart. That just proves your point, Rob. He doesn't let up. Neither does Van Gerwen.
170. Mensur, you require
This might have to go.
Well, he took out 164, it shouldn't be a problem. Well, this for a breaker throw, and this really would get the crowd going. Well, he just needs to set this up as best it can. I think that found its way through. Can't actually see from that particular angle. No, it didn't.
This could be it.
This could be it. 75 away. Tops then for Michael van Gerwen. You know the rest. Michael van Gerwen under a little bit of pressure there. Found himself having to answer one or two questions by Mensur Suljovic. But Michael van Gerwen secures a 16th European Tour title. It's his second of the year, and once again he has overcome Mensur Suljovic, whose European Tour pedigree has just been raised another notch or two as well this weekend. Mensur Suljovic can only shake hands and acknowledge what a powerhouse he was up against. But Michael van Gerwen is back in business once more. The Premier League champion, the World Cup winner last weekend. He holds every major ranking title apart from the UK Open, and he's got another European Tour title under his belt once again. A quick word from Paul Nicholson before we head downstairs.
Fantastic week. Vincent van der Voort was my player of the first 2 days, but van Gerwen has wrestled that title from everybody else. He has been the best player statistically, best player physically, mentally and everything else, and he's got a big smile on his face. And you tell me that even though he's won so many more titles, this doesn't mean anything to him. This still means a lot to him. And as he throws his case towards security and does a jig, I'll pass you back to Rob Malarkey. Thanks, everybody.
It's been a pleasure to bring this to you. Just a quick reminder, 2 weeks' time we'll be in Suljovic's hometown of Vienna for the next European Tour event, the Austrian Darts Open. Join us then for that.
Und der Sieger des Happy Bet European Darts Matchplay 2017, er erhält ein Preisgeld in Höhe von 25.000 Pfund, ist der MVG Mighty Mike Michael van Gerwen. Michael, congratulations. A great tournament. I think if you started to a final with a 136 finish, that's not too bad.
That was lovely. He just said after the game, he just said to me, I was trying to play very slow to try to put you off, but it didn't work. But fair play, he said it, because you got a lot of players who don't say it, and he's a fantastic player. He showed some character in the last 2-3 years, and Germany, Austria, everyone who speaks German can be proud of that guy because he does really well. But I don't want to underestimate myself. To win tournaments like this costs a lot of energy, and I'm really glad I did it again. I come here to win. I'm the huge favorite. Everyone expects me to win all the time. That's not easy, but I did it again, and that makes me really happy, man.
Do you actually still count 51st Pro Tour win, 16th European Tour win? These are always numbers, it's so amazing.
It's really lovely numbers, but I just want to keep performing well. I want to win so much tournaments as possible, and ich habe schön gespielt.
Oh ja, das stimmt, er hat schön gespielt. Michael van Gerwen, um das mal kurz zusammenzufassen, er hat ein großes Lob an Mensur ausgesprochen. Er sagt, einer, der wirklich so wichtig ist für den deutschsprachigen Raum im Darts. Und Mensur hat ihm eben noch gesagt, er hat anfangs versucht, eigentlich viel langsamer zu spielen, aber er hat gemerkt, er kann das heute nicht machen, das wird das Spiel nicht beeinflussen. Und das ist auch nicht normal, dass die beiden das sich gleich so nach einem Finale sagen. Aber natürlich toller Erfolg für Michael van Gerwen. Er versucht, dieses Niveau zu halten, er versucht, weiter Turniere zu gewinnen. Und auch er selbst ist natürlich begeistert ob all dieser wahnsinnigen Zahlen. Mensur, eine Frage an dich. Auch an dich den Glückwunsch und die Gratulation natürlich. Wenn man in einem Finale steht, möchte man das Finale gewinnen, das ist klar. Aber ich glaube, gegen die Nummer 1 der Welt kann man es auch mal verlieren. Gratulation zu einem ganz tollen Turnier.
Dankeschön, aber ich wollte mich wirklich ein bisschen ärgern. Ich wollte ein bisschen mit meinem langsamen Spiel vielleicht rausbringen, aber leider keine Chance. Absolut Respekt. Deswegen ist er Nummer 1. Deswegen muss man wirklich, wirklich Respekt zeigen. Der Michael ist absolute Nummer 1.
Dein zweiter European Tour Finaleinzug nacheinander. Gibraltar und jetzt auch hier in Hamburg.
Ja, ich wollte jetzt gewinnen, aber leider war der Michael da. Ist er nicht in Urlaub oder irgendwas?
Michael, last question to you. He just said he really wants to win this one. It's kind of warm here. My goodness, you're sweating.
He makes me sweat. If he plays a little bit faster, I wouldn't sweat as much, but it was a great game, and I think everyone in here enjoyed himself. And that's what it's about, and I'm really glad I can hold this title in the air, and I'm a proud man. Thank you very much.
Michael van Gerwen, der ist stolz, er sagt, Mensur Suljovic hat ihm auch diese Schweißperlen aufs Gesicht getrieben. Ein tolles Finale, 2 wunderbare Finalisten und das war's mit dem Happy Bets European Darts Matchplay 2017. Auch ein großes Dankeschön an euch. Ihr wart ein tolles Publikum. Diese 3 Tage haben richtig viel Spaß gemacht und ich denke mal, die PDC Europe sollte im nächsten Jahr hier zurück nach Hamburg kommen, oder? Nochmal einen Applaus an die beiden Finalisten und ihr kommt gut nach Hause, kommt sicher nach Hause. Ich bin mir ganz, ganz sicher, wir sehen uns bald bei einem der nächsten European Tour Veranstaltungen in diesem Jahr oder ansonsten im nächsten Jahr hier in Hamburg wieder. Macht's gut! Noch einmal die Arme hoch für das Siegerfolge von Mike.